Well, it's a late afternoon flat-out sprint here at Barbagello to begin round 5 of the V8 Supercar Championship.
Barbagello Raceway, 2.41 kilometres and 7 turns, surrounded by an enormous sand trap, effectively. On this circuit, you spend about 1/3 of the lap at 100% throttle. The numbers around here, well, Craig Lowndes is the lap record holder. Mark Scaife holds the qualifying record, but nobody's getting near those numbers this year. But the man that's going to show us around this circuit today is Stephen Ellery in the super cheap Ford. On the approach to turn 1, third gear, 180-degree right-hander. Fourth gear, 2 and 3, dance the car across the ripple strip, easy on the throttle. Long left-hander at turn 4, positive camber for about 2/3 of it. Blind brow at turn 5, the 4th gear. Have to be careful of the left rear, can't drop it off the edge. 5th gear briefly on the way down to turn 6, cold corner, positive camber. Patience with the throttle. That's the key in that spot. Always a lot of oversteer for the run down the main straight. Top speed 250 k's, average speed in this circuit 148. Uphill braking for turn 7, a huge braking effort. Again, patience with the throttle onto the pit straight, and that's one hot lap with Stephen Ellery at Barbagello Raceway.
Let's take a look at the starting grid, where Greg Murphy will begin on pole position. That's his 8th career pole. And Marcus Ambrose will start from 3rd, so Scaife slotted into 2nd, and Stephen Richards in position number 4. Jason Bright, the defending champion here at Barbagello, will start from P5. Positions 9 down to 12. Glenn Seaton in the top 10 shootout. Mark Noske in his first shootout in his V8 Supercar career. And Todd Kelly, by the way, that's the first time he's missed the shootout for 2003. Bradley Jones will start from position number 14 in his 55 championship start.
And Rodney Forbes this weekend drives the 00 car, formerly driven by Greg Ritter. That's now a one-car team from this point on in the championship.
Russell Ingall had a lot of bad luck throughout the qualifying session as we take you through the midfield. Max Wilson there down in position 19. That is 16 positions down on his starting grid spot from last year. Moving through the field, John Bauer, 2-time winner here. He returns with a few problems underneath the hood. We'll tell you a little bit more about that as we move along. Paul Radisich will start from position number 28 and Paul Morris from position 29. Cameron McConville in 30th.
One of the drivers, one of many drivers, trapped by oil in qualifying, dropped by Paul Wheel.
I mentioned that John Bauer, Neil, had a bit of a problem. Let's get an update from Rusty. Greg?
Guys, he's got a misfire of some kind. They've tried changing plugs on the 888 car, but they came back shaking their heads. Doesn't sound like they've been able to finish the job in time, so Bauer is in trouble.
He certainly is, but he's stuck there for now. He's back in 22nd position. The revs start to build up. A great crowd here at Barbagello, and off we go. A little bit of a slide from Mark Scaife, and Stephen Richards pounces straight away, but clean air and clear track for Greg Murphy. Around turn 1, there's Simon Wills inside the top 6 for the first time for Team Dynamic. And look at that, Greg Murphy just shoots away like there's no tomorrow. A great start from Richards. He pounced on the mistake by Mark Scaife. Everybody goes through cleanly through turns 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now they begin the climb up to 5.
Mark Scaife had a shocker of a start then, Matthew. He really sat there with a lot of wheel spin, and then to try and correct the problem, he needed to put right lock on it to get across the road to try and cover his ground. Stephen Richards was opportunistic and moved straight into 2nd place, and Murphy has bolted on cold tyres, and that's the kind of margin that can really serve you well at this racetrack, because if you can make clean air and then have a nice settled straight driving run for the balance of the race, you're in good shape.
The pit window, remember, opens at the end of lap 2 and closes at 29. They've only got to do tyres. Take a look further down the straight. Russell Ingall is jostling for position, and he's found it in front of Glenn Seaton.
And Glenn was really harassing the back of Russell that time, the two of them really battling through turn 7. So end of lap number 1, standing lap time for Murphy was a 65.2, and he was a full second clear, 1.1 seconds faster on the opening lap than Stephen Richards.
I got to tell you, Russell Ingall has had a bolter from the start. He started in position number 16, and by the end of one lap, 2.4 kilometres, he's up to 9th. This is the start, and look at Scaife in a whole world of hurt off the start. And Stephen Richards shot around the left and slotted into second position to make up 2 in a matter of about 10 metres.
Good judgment from Richo. He was initially going to go to the right of Scaife, and then he decided that was a bad deal and went round the outside, and it paid dividends for him because he's now clearly in the battle. The minor placings battle is pretty interesting. There's the gap, first to second, second to third, third and fourth. Then further down the order, they are really into it. These guys are nose to tail. The opening couple of laps of the race are pretty telling. Murphy, he's got the headlights on, but there's nobody to show at the moment. The only guy that's likely to be at the back of the field here is John Bauer, who's struggling with that car. They're actually going to bring him in, I believe, and try and solve that misfire problem with the 888 car. No point when it's so slow, pounding around out there on your own.
And the chips here on your PlayStation 2 race score will indicate the movers and shakers in the first lap, and I'm surprised how many there were, given that this is such a short lap. It's all over in underneath a minute. And some of these guys, as I mentioned, Ingle bolted up 7 positions. Seaton has lost 7 as well.
A few cars are going to be able to pit shortly. The pit window opens. Remember, no fuel, just tyres. It's open between laps 2 and 29. The pit window opens 2 to 29. So the order is Murphy, Richards, Scaife, Ambrose, Bright, and few people beginning to peel in. Here comes Rick Kelly up the inside of his brother Todd. Todd's been in the wars a bit this weekend, and these two look like they might swap a bit of paint here. Todd Kelly will be better positioned as they make the run towards 3 and 4, and he takes the ground back again from his brother.
Some great dicing. These guys, remember, have done 300-kilometre events for the last 3 rounds of the championship. It's like somebody opened the gate and let the horse go bolting for their sprint round. Cameron McConville is in for his first compulsory and only compulsory pit stop. Greg Rust.
Guys, there's a drama in pit lane here for team dynamic. It's difficult for my point in the lane to tell you, but it looks like the right front wheel has come off Jason Richards' car. So he was exiting after completing his stop for tyres, and the right front tyre has come off. Bauer came in. Incidentally, Neil, to update you, he flat spotted a left front.
Really well, and the other thing about losing a wheel is that incurs the wrath of race control, and you can be penalised for that. Here's a battle tandem on the inside of Ingle.
Oh, was it?
And away he goes. Now, there's several people came in, key players. Paul Wheel came in. Bow, as you mentioned. I'm surprised some people have come in early, although what they're gambling on is getting out of the traffic, because that would have been slowing them up. But means they've got to do a long leg now. Both DJR cars have been serviced, and doing a long stint here on tyres that will get greasy is a battle.
This is a great battle too. Russell Ingle has come out firing in this one. He rounded up Garth Tander, who's in front of him at turn 7 on that last lap, but Tander got it back as they crossed the control line. So you're looking at the battle for 8th and 7th and 8th position. Tander in 7th. Ingle is in 8th.
Look at this.
Swarms over the back of him, 250 kilometres an hour. He's going to get him here on the inside of 7. Can Tander do the switch back? Kelly's waiting to pounce.
Actually, Todd might make a move here. I think he could be in position to pull this off if he can just sneak up a bit further. Yes, he has. Garth was delayed by Russell, and Tander, as his prophecy prior to the start of the race. And Rick Kelly to come in. Now Murphy in, full tilt. There's the, locks up. Big lock up on the way to the control line. You can see the skid mark goes all the way to the white line. When you do that, you don't get a dashboard readout of your speed, because the wheel sensor, the wheel speed sensor, requires the wheel to be turning. Good stop. Very good stop from Kmart.
The question is, Neil, did he get it down to 40 kilometres in time? Mark Scaife now comes in. 8.4 seconds for Greg Murphy and the Kmart team, who, by the way, are probably the yardstick for tyre changes along the paddock. The clock ticks on Scaife. It was just under 9 seconds by the time he got in and out, so no change to the order there.
He's made ground. Scaife made ground in that stop on Murphy, and the lead car is now Stephen Richards in car 11, so he's disappeared off into the distance. He's got quite a margin over Ambrose. This is a critical stop for these guys. Looked like it's pretty efficient. Excellent stop. And he's gone out in front of Richards.
And what about the fist pumping out of Stone Brothers Racing? Look at this. Can he shoot in front of Scaife? Yes, he does. What a stop from Marcus Ambrose when things go your way.
He's on
in the
cold.
V8 Supercar Championship. They really make a difference.
Stone cold tyres, and if Scafie's patient, he could have a run of him down at 6. He's going to have to be patient, though. Marcus understeer through the middle of 4. It'll understeer across the face of 5. He make his car very wide. When they get down here, he'll drive to the right-hand side of the road, which is exactly what he's done. Scafie, though, can he force the issue? No. Marcus is going to get away with it.
You could just see the front of that Pertec BA Falcon get a little bit squiggly as it came into turn 6.
Oh, he's up the inside. Ambrose battling on stone cold tyres. Takes road advantage again. Good motor racing. Ooh, look at that. 3 thou between them. Scafie, will he look down the inside at turn 1? He's got the headlights ablaze. Doesn't have the pace. And it's because there's another car just in front. Oh, Marcus runs a little wide. Scafie's up there. This will be contact, contact, contact. Side by side through 3 and 4. He gets through. What a move.
Oh, this is fabulous stuff. Blow for blow between Mark Scaife and Marcus Ambrose. Stephen Richards has tagged along to take advantage if these guys take each other out. Ambrose held on in that first lap since he came in and put new tyres on, cold tyres. But Scaife, as Neil mentioned, he was patient, then he was aggressive, and in the end picked up the spot, which effectively is second spot in the race. On the road, they're in 10th, 11th and 12th. But because they've done the stop ahead of the other guys, now this is how he came out of the pits. By now, Stone Brothers are pumping their fists, and Marcus Ambrose just shoots across into turn 1.
And you know what, Matthew? And here's the replay of the decisive move. Marcus understeered wide in the late part of turn 1. They did a bit of mirror rubbing there. They touched 2 or 3 times. And look at that. This was great motor racing between these two pros through 3 and 4. And it speaks volumes for the workmanship and the professionalism of all these teams to get the 4 cars out, 4 different groups of people separated by a cigarette paper in the end analysis.
I got to tell you, this is absolute intensity in this race. They've gone hammer and tong from the word go. The 11th lap of 42, 100 kilometres here, and they're really throwing down. They like the sprint format. It's a difficult, short, fast circuit, and it's providing spectacular racing.
Here's the leader in the Cat Ford.
Yeah, Craig Lowndes has 4 wins here at Barbagello.
Wow, the low ride height on the front of that thing. And in he comes. Oh, no, gee whiz, that was very bizarre. Now, I wonder, that had all the hallmarks of a changed decision. It looked as though he was on his way in and then, oh, maybe not. Or either that or the car just got it very out of shape on the exit of 7.
That was like Tiger Woods stopping mid-backswing.
Yeah.
Somehow he managed to pull that out and control it. If he was on his way in, you've got to stand up and applaud that he controlled that car. Let's take a look at it again. Maybe you'll know better than I, Crompley.
Well, gee. Whoa, CL. Bit of black stuff on the road there.
Well, not only there too, Neil, but he also got it loose as a result going into turn 1.
Oh, Bowie off in a big way in a very unusual spot. What has happened there?
Straight down the middle of the main straight, and John Bowe has ended up somehow in the grass, and his team looks as perplexed as we are.
Very unusual angle in a very unusual place. I wonder whether there was another car involved in that.
Well, he's lost the front splitter off the Aussie Male Falcon.
Somebody else must have been involved in that. Wow. Daryl Beattie, have you got some light to shed?
Yeah, Cromley, I was just standing on pit wall as they come down the front straight here, and it looked like he was trying to cover his position on the track there, and car 65 turned him around here about the tower, so halfway down the straight.
Good fight between Todd Kelly and Jason Bright. We understand that Craig Lowndes is ready to come in for his compulsory tyre stop. Remember, he's on the road as the leader of this race without stopping yet. Car number 6, the Cat Ford, comes in now.
Turn to the board, Craig. Turn to the board, clear entry.
Okay, now I reckon that you'll find that Craig has probably made some gains in all this. Greg,
Well, Neil, judging by the track position that he's had over the previous laps, you would be right. Greg Murphy now turning onto the front straight, so this has been a good stop. It's been a bit longer than Lowndes would have liked, though. Ambrose comes past, so does Scaife and so does Richo, but he might do okay out of this.
Just under 10 seconds for your information there, Greg, as Craig Lowndes now comes up to pit lane, stuck at 40 kilometres an hour. Can't hit the gas until he hits that white line. Now it's go, go, go for Craig Lowndes.
No, he's lost time. Hanging out there has actually lost him time. Well,
yeah, he comes back into the race effectively in 6th position. On the road, he's in 10th position. He slots in behind Russell Ingall.
now that car that you mentioned earlier on, Darryl, car number 65 was Paul Radisich. So that was Radisich and Bow that got together on the pit straight, and Bow, he got dispatched one way or another and was attacking the grass backwards, which is always a bad look.
The last 4 laps, 2 of the fastest have gone to Scaife, and 2 of the fastest between those 2 have gone to Ambrose. They come up along the back markers now around Paul Morris's, the Aussie Mail team, doing everything they can to get rid of the rubbish off the front of John Bow's car.
This will mean they're going to go right to the back of the pack, but the car's obviously very ugly to drive without any downforce at the front, as Ambrose now gets up the inside of Morris on the way in, and so Richo goes with him. And Scaife has actually made some ground out of all that. Really probably got some advantage. You can see that Scaife's at the crest of the hill on the back straight. This is the view from Richards, and Ambrose in the middle. Great corner, this one.
Look at that, centimetres in it.
He'll get up the inside. He's got a better run. Once you're in that position there, then you end up in the right spot for the braking duel at the bottom. So not only is Kelly going to make a spot here, but more significantly, Jason's actually having a bit of a battle for the first time this year, where his car is clearly not in good shape. Murph.
Well, it looks pretty comfortable, doesn't he? On lap 24, so 18 effectively to go.
60.3 for his last lap time. And actually a fraction slower than Mark Scaife, who seems to have found a bit of mid-race pace. In fact, he's recorded the fastest lap of the race so far, and he was a couple of puffdeenths faster than Murph.
Twice this man has been a runner-up here at Barbagello, Greg Murphy. And we all know the dramas that he's had throughout the last couple of weeks. And in fact, well, pretty much from the start of the year. Well, if you want to take your dramas back, you could probably go back to Bathurst. He's come here with a point to prove, there's no question about it, and it's always hard to get a gauge of how much emotion can play in a driver's psyche, but it's definitely playing a part here this weekend.
Is this terrific shot in the top left-hand corner of Greg Murphy and his footwork through turn 1. See how gently he squeezes the throttle, flat shift, kick the clutch just to ease it through, balance it across the brake pedal, over the light part of the S's, a downshift to 3rd gear, bit of left foot braking on the way in, 3rd to 4th over the crest of the hill. Once he sees daylight, flattens it to 5th, flat shift, little left foot brake, 2 gear changes down to 3rd. He hung onto the brake a bit longer to get the nose into the apex, makes the apex. See how gentle that throttle usage is. That's like a wet track application. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and he'll just briefly grab 6th. Whack, there she goes. He barely touches the clutch because it's a straight pull through the gate. And then he just does that nice little dance with the throttle. Get through turn 7, back to 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th gear. And he and Marcus Ambrose are the notable guys that left foot brake. And he does it very well. A lot of people just try it and can't buy it. It's a very unusual thing to do. Obviously, you do it in karting all the time. But Murph learned it when he was driving the Super Touring car, found that it was very good in the Audi, and he's stuck to his technique and serving him pretty well at the moment.
Remember, there's only one compulsory pit stop here, and you can see here on your PlayStation 2 race score that everybody in the field now has completed them. So the lineup that we're seeing in terms of progressive race scores is the actual net lineup now. Greg Murphy has a 1.6 second lead over Mark Scaife. Marcus Ambrose in third position, Stephen Richards fourth, and Russell Ingall, who started from 16th, has moved up to fifth, putting his hands up for a top dog performance for round 5.
This is good news for both Scaife and Murphy for various reasons, not least of which is that at this point in time they both have 597 points in the championship in 6th and 7th, and they need a bit of a points burst to get them back in the main game. And obviously a first and a second in the opening account here today will help that cause.
Well, the difficult thing about
a bit of aggravation at turn 7.
Yeah,
one
that
of the
was
shell
one
cars.
of those shell cars. It looked as though it might have been Stephen Johnson down there in position 18 as we check out Stephen Richards. I was just going to mention the difficult thing about the championship for 2003. It's hard to get a points burst.
Yeah.
It really is, because the gap is so narrow in between first and second, second and third, and so on.
That was Stephen Johnson, and he's flat spotted a tyre in that little exercise down there at turn 7, so I expect that there's a possibility that he may come in and change that. There you go.
Make that a certainty. Johnson for DJR is in and out. And Greg Rust can inform us about that one, Rusty.
It was the left front, guys. Flat spotted the left front, as you quite rightly picked, with a bit of a braking drama coming into that final turn.
The battle between Rick and Todd Kelly, the brothers, for 7th and 8th, rages on.
Graphic noted the fact that the pit window has now closed. Lap 29, 2 and 29 were the opening and closing part of that sequence. So everybody's done their stop, and they've just got to ease it home now.
27, 28, 29 and 30. Scaife has been faster in all 4 by a 1/10 of a second, then 3/10, then 4/10, and effectively 4/10 again. So as Neil rightly mentioned there, Scaife has got the edge on Greg Murphy at the moment in terms of pace.
And a very significant thing to watch there is Scaife drives shallow out of turn 6, meaning he turns the car, drives it up the inside, squares it across the rear tyres so that he doesn't overwork the left rear tyre. Murphy's taking the big long way round the corner, which definitely overheats the left tyre more. What this will do is it'll mean that it erodes Greg's rear tyre grip more rapidly than Mark, and he'll find that eventually he's probably vulnerable down the bottom of the straight at turn 7. So just watch that one with interest, because Scaife does it very differently to Murph on the exit of the corner.
Coming up through turn 4, up over the rise to turn 5, and you'll get a great example of exactly what Neil was talking about.
You watch this down here, braking approach. They both start the full left side of the road, ease in. Scaife stays up higher later, then he'll turn it down. He'll be a little more patient with the throttle, but he tries to keep the car on a much shallower, look at that, much shallower exit. It's a full car with shallower, means that the load distribution across the rear tyres is a bit different, and slowly but surely that'll give him a bit better drive off the corner. And look how close he is down here. Not close enough for a move at the moment, but certainly in the window. Good motor race between these two guys.
Jason Barguana is shaking his head. He's out of the car. The Orcon Racing team.
Oh, Murph again having to grab a bit more brake in the middle of the corner. Murphy's not able to quite get the front of the car where he wants to put it, and that's what the dabbing of the brake's about, to just return weight to the nose of the car and to actually put it in the position he needs. Sometimes you just need to load the car. And what's one of the good things about left foot braking, Matthew, is it enables you to shift the weight distribution in the car to just help return some percentage grip to the front. Murph's hanging on.
And as always, Neil, as we watch this battle between 1 and 2, the guy directly behind them, Marcus Ambrose, is consistently picking up just little pieces of time along the way. He's been about 2/10 of a second quicker than the two guys in front of him over the last couple of laps and throughout each of the sectors of this lap.
If anything, it looks like Murph actually just opened the gap ever so slightly in the last couple of laps. He's very vulnerable on the way to turn 1, where he's repeatedly having to have a little grab of the brake. There's the rear view shot of the red and white car looming. VY versus VX. McPherson strut front suspension versus double wishbone. And well, there you go. There's the precise analysis. And it's sort of even Steven.
It's sort of been swapping that way, hasn't it, over the last 5, 6 or 7 laps. Late braking from Mark Skaife, turn 6.
Oh, he's on him now. He's on him now. He's got a better exit. She's going to be on here, boys.
Absolutely. Up over the rise on the straight. Murphy gets his position back.
He just puts the car in the middle of the road. He knows that track position's the critical thing at the moment, but Skaife is really starting to gnaw at him. See, he's shallow again on the exit. Mark is really nursing the rear tyres, and Greg really has to be aggressive in order to hold track position, but it's a fascinating battle of two techniques and two different cars.
When they crossed the control line, there was 0.3 of a second in it. You'll see here Murphy starting to pull away through turns 2 and 3. It closes up so much once they get over the back part of the circuit. What an enthralling battle.
It gives you an idea of how much the cars wriggle around too, Matthew.
And there's, as I mentioned, Skaife versus Ambrose, positions 2v3, and Marcus Ambrose definitely is making up time because he's got more clean air behind him, in front of him rather, and nobody to dice with.
Skaife lost a bit of ground then by going a bit higher down at Cold. There's no grip out there, and in fact what Lowndes does down there is he actually drives right over the top of the concrete because there's actually more grip on the concrete than there is on the racetrack down there. Oh, he's back with him again at turn 7. Great battle.
An awesome battle. Both of these guys equal 4th in the championship. Could have been so much more by now for Greg Murphy. Got turned around in Adelaide.
Both Ambrose and Richards were 0.3 quicker on the last lap than the two lead guys. 60.7 for both the leading cars, 60.4 for the cars in 3rd and 4th.
The point that I was just going to make there, Cromley, was that 2 rounds where Greg Murphy has had some fairly big bad luck stories are the 2 rounds that he's finished outside. The only 2 rounds he's finished outside the top 5.
This is the first time this weekend that the track's not been bathed in UV, in sunlight. That'll change the behaviour of the cars on the road a little bit. It's been about sort of 20-odd degrees most of the weekend in Friday practice and today's race. And you can see that the light levels are actually quite low at the moment.
The gap's closing here, Neil. Mark Skaife is really throwing it all at him now. 5 laps to go in this race.
He's got a good exit again.
He is all over the back of the Kmart car. The question is, can he finally peek it through?
A crack in the windscreen, so Greg's resorted to throwing rocks at him.
It's holding him off for now. Ambrose versus Richards is position 3 versus 4, and that's a pretty even battle as well. It's just a matter of wait and see, isn't it? We're waiting for somebody to trip up, and it doesn't look as though it's going to happen at the moment.
The thing that you've got to do in these circumstances, it is a question of the walking wounded a little bit. You don't, with a low grip car, you've got to be careful that you don't end up taking high risk, low yield moves. What you want to do in these types of race cars is make high yield, low risk. So the thing about it is that with a car that's slippery on a track that's greasy, you've got to think it through very, very carefully. At the moment, second's not a bad spot for Skaife. Everybody wants to be a winner, but being in the paddock is not an option.
Well, you know what else that means? There's only 2 points difference between being 1st and 2nd here for this race. 64 points for the winner, 62 points for the guy who comes 2nd.
Oh,
these guys take each other out, they get no points.
Skaife then, he picked the throttle up right in the middle of the corner because he saw that Murph grabbed the brake again, and he actually made a bit of ground, but then it sort of mispositioned the car in the latter part of the corner. He really wants to try and he knows that if he could just get half the nose of the car up the inside coming out of turn 6, he's in the box seat at the last corner, but he's not there. Meanwhile, Ambrose is on him.
You have to officially now count Marcus Ambrose into the battle for 1st position. He's sort of been driving around alone in 3rd, but now he's closed the gap to put enough pressure, well, maybe a little bit of pressure on Mark Skaife, but certainly if there's anything between 1 and 2, then Marcus Ambrose is there ready to take it out. So Murphy is 1st, Skaife is 2nd, and Ambrose is 3rd.
Notice all 3 of the boys decided to motocross their way across the right-hand bump at turn 3 over that very aggressive curbing there. They're trying to use other methods of getting the front of the car positioned to where they want to be. Again, Skaife gets very close to the back of the 51 car in the middle of the corner. If anything now, I reckon Greg's actually matching him for drive off there. So Murph's probably just modulating his throttle a little bit in order to just keep the life in those rear tyres. They're both fiddling with different lines on the racetrack. All of the crews at the moment would be standing there, they bite their nails. It makes you very nervous when your cars are in these positions, Matthew, because you think, don't do anything silly, don't do anything silly, don't do anything silly. And, you know, half the guys think, at the moment, my car's straight. We can give it a bit of a wipe, put some oil and water and fuel in it, send it tomorrow, maybe make a couple of little tiny changes. But if that crazy driver has a lunge, I'll be here till midnight.
That's exactly it. There's a big difference between what the crew think is silly,
yes,
and what the guy with the helmet is thinking is silly when his adrenaline is running full bore. So your PlayStation 2 race score shows you that nothing's changed from 1 through to 4, but look at Russell Ingall, who has made up 11 positions. An outstanding effort. Marcus Ambrose, his teammate, is going for a podium finish here. Mark Scaife has a look and gets a little bit loose.
He needs a half turn more front brake on the car.
Oh, that could have been very, very costly.
Murph's starting to chase him. He's only allowed one move. He can't move twice on the road. He can move to cover. Scaife's going to knock on his door here. Hello, mate.
Tap, tap, tap.
That's officially, he's starting to annoy me. So the temperature goes up. The pressure goes up.
Can you imagine what Greg Murphy is thinking? Now, this is getting very interesting, because as we get to the dying stages, the top 3, make that the top 4, are coming up to the lapped cars, the traffic at the back. Dean Canto is the first guy that they should round up. That's him just going out of shot there.
It'll take a little while to get to them. We're running out of laps.
Yeah, running out of laps.
I don't know that they'll actually get that far. They might. Actually put a little space between the 3 of them now, or that shuffle at the first couple of corners. And Scaife, you could tell that he just wanted to get on with it then. He would have been mildly aggrieved about being run around on the pit straight. He went one way, and then Murph just started to drift back, and so little stress fractures just appear in both drivers in those circumstances. Here he comes again.
The final throw of the dice, you'd have to say, for Mark Scaife. The question is it worth upsetting a whole bag of points?
And they'll be counselling Scaife on the radio. Just be patient, mate.
Isn't it, sir, now that he owns the team?
That's
Greg
right.
Murphy.
Be patient, but do whatever you want to do, boss.
You sign the checks at the end of the day. Well, Murphy here has shown great mental strength to hold off the 5-time series champion behind him.
Great race, Matthew, for 4 cars to really be in the hunt here, and it's not over yet.
Although there is not far to go. This is it.
Go the other way, Scaife.
His last chance. Mark Scaife, can he do it around here? No, he won't. And this will mean that Greg Murphy, well, he'll come down the pit straight, and the fists will be pumping.
Well done.
What a performance from Greg Murphy.
A great race. Excellent job for all of the 4 cars and the teams represented in the top 4. Cars well driven. Big pressure from Mark Scaife onto Greg Murphy there, and he didn't scramble here.
So Murphy, Scaife and Ambrose are your podium. Richards, Ingall and Lowndes, Todd Kelly and Simon Wills make up our top 8. Garth Tanner and Rick Kelly holds on to a 10th position. Jason Bright, that's his worst race result of the season for the series leader. Glenn Seaton and Brad Jones round out our top 15. Paul Radicic there finishes in 16th spot. So Greg Murphy from pole to checkered flag, and he's with Greg Rust.
Hey Murph, if ever anyone had any doubts after Winton, that sends a big message, doesn't it?
Oh, I don't think anyone had any doubts. It's that's the unfortunate part of the whole thing. We know we can be up the front there, and this isn't proof. It's just what we do, and it's finally, hopefully, we can just build on this and make something of it for the rest of the year.
It was an incredible finish to the race. How was the pressure?
Yeah, Scaife gave me a few hits, and I knew the pressure was there. The car was brilliant up to sort of mid-race, and then it started to go away and just lost my rear tyres. So it obviously was great over one lap when we qualified it. Not bad for a 10-lap stint, but then after that we started to lose a bit, so we got a bit of work to do. But it's nice to get that one out of the way.
Well done.
Thanks, mate. Cheers. Good on you.
Mark, what a race.
Yeah, I got a shocking start, mate. I just sat there and dug a hole in the ground and probably really should have lost more spots, and that really cost me the race. I mean, the car was fast enough to be at the front. Greg drove very well. I mean, he didn't make a mistake. I made him earn it, which was good. And I mean, if you're ever going to have a race, you might as well have a race like that because it's bloody good fun.
What do you think tomorrow? Good format, this sprint.
It is. I mean, it's at it. I mean, you saw the last bit there. Ambrose was coming at us. I actually thought at one stage I should hang off Murphy a bit just to keep our car speed up. And I thought, no, stuff, I'll get into him. So that was bloody good. Really enjoyed it.
All the best.
Thanks, mate.
Marcus, you made that move on Scafie in the pits, but he managed to get you back on the track.
Yeah, I just couldn't hold on. You know, when you come out of the pits like that, the tyre pressures are really low and there's not much grip around. And, you know, he's giving me heaps of pressure, and I landed on the car hoping it was going to be good enough, but, you know, it's only half a car width wide and he was in the hole. You know, it's only worth 2 points, so you can't fight it too hard. You know, we drove good. You know, we probably deserved to finish third there, so, you know, we've got some work to do tonight and get it going for the 2 races tomorrow.